So I've done some analysis of paper 1 and this is something you could just do in your free time. However, I thought I'd do it for you considering you have 10 other subjects to do and revise with at least 5 exams in the next week or so. If you have your statistics paper 2 exam next week, then continue watching the video. If you're just a bit intrigued, you can also feel free to watch. However, if you're planning on taking GCSE Statistics and you are looking at this in preparation for any mocks next year, I highly suggest that you hold back, because this is the paper that your teachers most likely will use for your mocks, and so I don't want you to have an unfair advantage, because it provides no real benefit to you or the teacher. It will just be a waste of time if you watch this video and know what will come up. I also need to follow up with a disclaimer. I'm not affiliated in any way with any of the exam boards, and so I do not know what will come up. The teachers don't, no one knows except from the people who wrote the exam. So basically no one you know. And because of this, these are simply just guesses. You can call them predictions if you like, but in true honesty, they're just guesses. I haven't used any complex algorithms or anything like that to determine what topics I've chosen. I've just chosen it based on a mixture of how likely it is to come up, and some of them are just my gut decisions. Whatever you choose to do with this information, just take in that it's advice and not instructions, so do with it what you would like at your own risk. So this is what I've seen not come up yet, and note that this information might not be fully accurate because I myself have not seen the full paper. Stratified sampling, the crude birth and death rate, percentiles, linear interpolation, skew, weighted mean, geometric mean, simple index numbers, chain-based index numbers, weighted index numbers, regression lines, population pyramids, frequency polygons, stem and leaf, standard deviation, histograms, standardized scores, Spearman's rank, binomial probability, Venn diagrams, and risk. So as you can see, there are a lot of topics that haven't come up in paper 1, at least not explicitly. So what do you do from this? The ones that I've selected in bold are the ones that are the main topics. Either they come up time and time again, or they are high yield in terms of marks. You probably won't even have time to cover those topics, so I'll have to simplify it even further. And doing that, I shortlist it into these few topics. All your revision depends on how long you have to revise, so just because I've selected the bare minimum that you should revise, these are what people struggle time and time again on, and you should go back to the original list and look at what you're weak on and try and drill those down. Now there's 2 ways that you can revise all of this. You can either 1. Watch videos, or 2. Do exam questions. I recommend you do a mixture of both. However, instead of doing the videos first, you do exam questions. You go through each past paper in the exam series and you go and find a question that relates to the topic you're revising. You then attempt the question and you mark it rigorously with the mark scheme, making sure that you don't drop any marks, or at least you get most of the marks. For any topics you struggle on, now is the time to find a YouTube video or utilize your teacher's help to not only revise the topic, but answer the question you just struggle to get the marks on. By doing this, it's not exactly low effort, but it's much more easier than just watching loads of videos 24/7 and not actually feeling like you're going anywhere. And if you do a couple of questions per topic, you should be able to fit in a chunk of revision before the exam next Friday. So as you can see, any of the topics can come up from that list, but the 7 that I'd prioritize are the following: geometric mean, regression lines, standard deviation, histograms, Spearman's rank, binomial probability, and Venn diagrams. Now, those 7 topics are major topics. There's also some other niche ones like linear interpolation and index numbers. However, you see quite a few of these topics either feed into the bigger topics I've just mentioned, or they are small enough topics that you could probably revise in a short period of time. Now, it's not really useful for me to just give you topics and tell you to go and do them. If you don't know what you're doing completely, then here's what I recommend for each of them. For the geometric mean, you should learn the formula, when to use it, and a simple explanation from how it differs from the arithmetic mean. For regression lines, you need to know the form of it, y equals a plus bx, so I'd recommend you watch a couple of videos on this. It's probably one of the topics that wouldn't apply to my do the exam questions first method, as it's one of those that you just really need to have your head around before you even attempt to answer questions, and regression lines are actually wrapped around a lot of context. For standard deviation, you're given the formula, you just need to know how to use it and what it actually means. Histograms involves finding frequencies, class widths, and frequency densities. If you need to revise those, make sure you check them out. For Spearman's rank, again, you just need to know the formula, you would have to memorize this one, and you're going to have to be able to use it in context. So you're going to have to know what each of the correlations mean. For binomial probability, I'd recommend that you first look up binomial expansion, how to expand brackets with higher powers of n, then you need to be able to use it to apply it to context. For Venn diagrams, you do a lot of this in GCSE maths anyways, so you just have to do a bit more revision and make sure you're okay on most of the concepts for this part.